3 minutes.
Our show producer here, on the big screen, has done an outstanding job not only directing his crew on the races, but we also have done some photographs of the 40 years of programs and logos here at the San Diego Crew Classic. And occasionally, if you take a look at the Jumbotron, you might see some of these logos and t-shirts that are coming up. These are indicative of the 40 years of artwork that we've enjoyed here at the San Diego Crew Classic. And hopefully we'll have those come up here shortly. There's one of them and a couple of more. So kind of enjoy looking back in time here at the San Diego Crew Classic and some of the promotional posters and pictures that have been used to dramatize this outstanding event throughout the years, our 40th year.
I was born for this, I was born to win. I was born for this, I was born to win. I was born for this, I was born to win. Every time they say I can't, I just do it again. Born for this, I was born to win. I was born for this, I was born to win.
University of Southern California.
I was born to win. Every time they say I can't, I just do it again.
University, Washington State University, University of Virginia.
Event number 85,
Attention.
Women's Collegiate 4 with Coxon Grand Final. Lane assignments, lane 1, USC, lane 2, UCLA, lane 3, University of Washington, 4, University of Virginia, 5, Duke University, 6, Washington State University, and 7, University of Virginia. 20 strokes into the race, your early race leader, the Huskies in lane 3. Slight advantage over USC in lane 1. And then it's Virginia in that third spot. Washington State having a go at it out here in lane 6. As we approach the 250-meter mark, it's still Washington, your race leader, slightly over USC in lane 1 and Virginia in lane 4. Shifting down now to the race pace, establishing rhythm, pushing those puddles further astern, making the boat smooth. Still the Huskies, your race leader, closely contested by SC over in lane 1. Then it's Virginia at third spot, then UCLA. Fourth position. Fifth position goes to Washington State. Then it's University of Virginia B-Boat. And the final spot goes to Duke University. Crews now approach the 500-meter mark. And it seems that USC over in lane 1 is almost level with the earlier race leader, Washington. So here we are, 500 meters down. USC, Washington, Virginia, then it's UCLA, Washington State, University of Virginia in lane 7, and Duke University.
On the water with our Women's Collegiate 4 width, and this is their grand final. It's event number 85, and checking lane assignments, it is USC in lane number 1, UCLA in lane number 2, Washington in lane 3, Virginia in lane 4, In lane 5 is Duke. Washington State University is in lane 6, and a B boat from the University of Virginia is in lane 7. Our current leader, USC.
So USC going for the trifecta here. They've won the first varsity 8, they've won the second varsity 8, and they're now going for the third leg of the NCAA trifecta, which is a win in the women's varsity 4. They have the fastest time coming out of the heats. Closest to them in time is the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, and we'll see whether or not Washington and University of Virginia can push into those 2 lead boats. Out in lane 7, we have a second University of Virginia 4. They are their second varsity 4. There was a final yesterday for second varsity 4s, and the University of Virginia crew in lane 7 was the winner of that B final of second varsity 4s, and by virtue of that win qualified to race in lane 7 today in the grand final of the Women's Collegiate Cox 4.
Everybody loves watching the varsity 4s because it is so unpredictable. You've got these 4 athletes. Sometimes they can't make the 8s go well, but you throw them in the 4 and it just lights up.
You know, one of the things about a 4 is it's one of the most difficult boats to row because you need the imbalance in power between the rowers on either side seems to be exaggerated in the 4 much more than in the 8. So getting the right balance of rowers in the 4 is one of the super critical technical jobs that the coach has to do.
And we've got 3 boats capable of winning this race right now. You see those bows edging, going back and forth. I know the angles are always deceiving, so it can happen. Anybody can just sit up tall. We are in the third 500. This is a slower race time-wise, so this means whoever has the biggest guts, whoever is going to exert their will, if we are not going to let our boat slow down, this is going to be an exciting, gutsy race.
Are there some rowers that seem to be more suited to rowing in the 4 because it's a slower moving boat than in the 8?
You're absolutely right. Sometimes you have your best ergs in the 4, and you, as a coach, you're just dying to get that horsepower in the 8. But then these athletes, maybe give them another year, another 2 years, and they're going to be moving your 8s. But for now, some 4s just click with the combination, the lineup, and then they just are more suited for the slower, heavier feeling.
And USC seem to be powering away in the third 500. They seem to have opened up some significant lead, Alan, as they come down towards the 500 to go mark.
Well, that Virginia A boat on the lane 4 has begun to make a little bit of a push up towards the leaders in this case, but USC continues to have it in hand. They do need to kind of keep an eye out on, in addition to the Virginia A boat, UCLA is having a tendency to creep in there, and Washington is lolling back just a little bit, but as we've heard in earlier races, they like to come on with the mad charge at the end. And then all the way on the outside, the Virginia B boat has begun to go to work against Washington State University, and Duke is trailing by open water. USC on the shoreline here, continuing to have their way. Virginia A has moved up, and it looks like UCLA is beginning to pick up the stroke a little bit, as is Washington trying to challenge. The Virginia B boat on the outside will not be ignored, so they're going to have to keep an eye on them than Washington State and Duke.
Yes, the USC boat just seemed to be a little crisper on the catch and just seemed to be hanging on to it a little harder on the release.
They've got a quicker spring, and this is a tailwind condition, so you've got to be direct, you've got to have a quick impulse, you just got to get up and go.
USC along the shoreline in the gold shell and the traditional USC colors. UCLA beginning to close hard on them, and now Washington has picked it up, and they are sliding by the Virginia A boat all the way to the outside. Virginia B, Washington State, and Duke is trailing. It is USC on the shoreline. UCLA made a mad rush at them, but have not been able to get past them. Washington has moved past the Virginia A boat, an early leader. Virginia B, I suspect, would be loving to beat the A boat, and they are on the far outside, Washington State and then Duke. USC on the lead, and it looks like they might hold off UCLA. Both of those crews have got a little bit of open water now over Washington and the Virginia A boat. On the outside, Virginia B made a rush at them but was unable to overtake Washington State University and Duke. USC, UCLA, Washington, the Virginia A crew, outside to the Virginia B crew, Washington State University and Duke. So the winner of the Karen Plumleigh Cortney Cup for the Women's Collegiate 4 with Grand Final is USC. And Charles, you've mentioned that the Trojans have been really having their way here lately.
Yes, if this were the NCAA championships, they would have just won it by winning all 3 of the main events. Mary.
The thing about it is, though, that give all credit to the Trojans. They have claimed their stake of this is what we want to do. Can they finish the season? It's not how you start it, it's how you finish it. And this is going to be a crew to watch over the whole spring racing season.
It's been interesting over the last few years. USC used to be famous for just having a varsity A. Now they got some depth.
Their coaching staff is doing wonders, and I'm sure their goal is to have finished speed and keep getting faster from this.
And what do you think will be happening at the University of Virginia? Seat racing?
Well, I don't know. You've got two 4s that are side by side, and so the women who didn't get into the A boat, they're saying, "Coach, look at me. I want in. Give me a chance."
University.